Okay, if you're a parent, an educator, really anyone with kids in your life, you know this is a huge, huge topic. Raising children in the age of AI, it's a whole new ballgame. So today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating new framework designed to tackle just that. And it really kicks off with this question, one that I think a lot of us have been feeling, even if we couldn't quite put our finger on it. Why on earth does a 10-year-old today feel like they're dealing with the pressures of a 15-year-old? And it's not just a feeling, right? There are some very real forces at play here. And this slide, wow, it just lays it all out, doesn't it? If you think back, childhood used to have, well, a slower, more meandering path. But now, it's like everything is being squeezed, compressed by this constant pressure of being online, of algorithm-driven social comparison. The bottom line is, kids are hitting these really heavy, adolescent-level challenges way, way earlier than they're equipped to handle. All right, so here's our game plan for today. We'll kick things off with the challenge itself. Then we'll introduce this AI outside, human inside idea. We'll break down its 5 core pillars, see how it actually works in the real world, and finally, look at the big picture, what it takes to build a truly future-ready child. Okay, let's jump right into it. Section 1, the new childhood challenge. And this is all about digging into how this digital acceleration is just fundamentally reshaping what it even means to grow up today. And this is what we mean by compression. We're talking about heavy stuff like identity confusion, performance anxiety, just this constant emotional overload. I mean, these are issues that kids as young as 8 or 9 are now wrestling with, things that we used to think of as being squarely in the teenage years. And let's be clear, this goes way beyond just how much screen time. This is about the deep, deep emotional and mental impact of being constantly plugged in. So, okay, that's the problem. It's a big one. What's the solution? Well, that brings us right into Section 2 and the core idea we're exploring today, this AI outside, human inside framework. It's a completely new way to think about navigating this modern childhood. All right, so what in the world is AICI? Let's break it down. It stands for Artificial Intelligence Outside, Creative Intelligence Inside. And just the name itself tells you so much about the core philosophy here, right? It's all about consciously drawing a line, separating the external tools we use from the internal human skills that we absolutely have to cultivate. And the goal here, honestly, it's huge. This isn't about banning technology or throwing phones in the trash, not at all. It's about teaching kids to double down on what makes them uniquely human, their creativity, their empathy, their judgment, while learning to see AI for exactly what it is, an incredibly powerful tool, but just a tool. And this quote, this one really hits the nail on the head. It gets to the absolute heart of the AICI model. AI is a tool, not an authority, thinker, or emotional companion. I mean, wow, making that distinction, teaching kids that distinction, that is everything. It's absolutely critical. Okay, so that's the big idea, but how do you actually put it into practice? That brings us to our next section, the foundation of the whole framework, what they call the 5 pillars of AGIC. So think of these 5 pillars as the essential building blocks. First, you've got AI awareness, just fundamentally understanding what this tool is and what it isn't. Then it pivots to the purely human stuff, compassion, developing empathy for others, clarity, which is all about knowing your own inner world, confident communication, and finally the big one, creativity, which this program calls our human superpower. I love that. And look, these aren't just feel-good words on a slide. These pillars, compassion, clarity, creativity, they are literally woven into the fabric of the entire program. They guide the curriculum, the mentorship sessions, every single workshop. It's how they make sure this is a complete, holistic approach to a child's growth. Okay, so that's the theory, the what, but what about the how? How does all this work in the real world? Let's jump into Section 4, how the lab works and how they take these abstract ideas and make them totally concrete. So the program is built around something called a human lab model. Now, I know that might sound a little clinical or intimidating, but it's actually the exact opposite. Think of it as a super safe observational space that's designed to see how a child's confidence, creativity, and emotional expression are actually growing over time. And here's the most important part. There are no grades, no rankings, no psychological labels, none of that. And why only 3 to 5 kids? Well, that tiny cohort size is absolutely essential. This isn't a lecture hall. It's designed to be a safe space. That small number is completely deliberate. It's all about fostering the psychological safety kids need to really open up, to express themselves, and to take creative risks without that constant fear of being judged. The weekly rhythm is also super intentional. It's a simple, consistent loop that runs over 12 weeks. You have a 60-minute mentorship session on Monday, which is all about sparking ideas and getting creative. Then on Friday, there's a quick 20-minute follow-up to reflect on the week. This simple cycle creates this really powerful rhythm of learning and then letting it all sink in. So you might be wondering, what do they actually do in these sessions? And this part is key. It's all play-based learning. We're talking about storytelling, fun creative challenges, and games that are actually designed for reflection. The whole point is to foster that feeling of emotional safety and tap into a kid's natural curiosity and motivation, instead of making it feel like just another piece of homework. And all of this, the framework, the pillars, the lab model, it all leads to our final section here. This is the so what, the ultimate goal of the entire AICI framework, building the future-ready child. And you really see the impact on two different timelines. In the short term, you see kids developing a much richer emotional vocabulary. And maybe most importantly, they become less afraid of making mistakes. But the long-term prize, that's where it gets really exciting. We're talking about building genuine emotional resilience, a conscious and healthy relationship with technology, and that kind of creative, adaptive thinking that they're going to need for the rest of their lives. And that right there is why all of this matters so much. This isn't just about getting kids through the next couple of years. This is about intentionally cultivating those core human skills that are going to be absolutely non-negotiable for success. And you know what? More importantly, for happiness and well-being in a world that's just becoming more and more automated every single day. So in the end, this whole AICI framework is really just one powerful answer to one of the biggest questions we're all facing. As the world around us fills up with artificial intelligence, how do we teach our kids to double down on our own creative, compassionate, and truly human intelligence?